So we're back in the saddle, just continuing to plug along here. Not sure how far we have to go still. Theoretically about 9, but it's got to be less than 9 kilometers. Forgot to give the lens a wipe. Nothing has appeared to come down, but I'm not taking any chances. Some more telegraph poles coming up. So one of the things you see where the telegraph poles are, so there's one right here, one right there, kind of shows you how clear the grade was at one time, right? Where, you know, probably the bush was pushed back 20-30 feet, right? Because the telegraph poles would have been in the clear, not obscured as they are inside the trees right now. I don't know if there's any more coming up. Again, you can see more of the tamaracks and the beautiful color. Yeah, there's some more here. Get a little section of poles. So again, that's where the brush line would have been, on the other side of the telegraph pole. So the one over there looks kind of sad. It's missing lots of insulators, and top arm is broken. And the insulators that are on there are all busted. So I believe we have a rock cut here. And obviously it's cloudy, so we can just roll through it. So it's just a small little rock cut. There's nothing really on that side. Which direction are we going? We're kind of going somewhat north. So this would be the west side. And it starts to pick up a little bit here. And so this is where the bulk of the rock cut is. Probably 6-7 feet here, shoots up, maybe 10, a little bit more feet here on this side, and it just stops. And so you can see more telegraph poles here. That one's about to come down, and we get into a swampy area again. So you can see there's a bunch of poles here in the swamp. Again, talks a little bit about the challenges that they had building this line, right? So you're going through rock cuts, and then you're in through the swamp. Oh, the wind is coming this way, so we're wide open here. Oh, and you're sweating a little bit, so you're a little bit damp. And now the wind blows and it just sort of chills you. So that one's unusual. It has clear insulators, probably Dominion 42s up on the inside pegs, as opposed to the aqua colored CD 145s. There's a CD 145 on that one. It's hiding. It's on the back side. You see it there. So this is one of the legacies of the railway line, right? Like, the grade itself has been changed dramatically because it's been used as a road. So the telegraph poles are one of the things that sort of sticks around, that kind of reminds us of what was once here, because this just looks like a road now. I'm just looking at that. insulator on this side of, you know, just on this side of the main pole looks like it's different. It's not a CD145. It looks like a Brookfield or a Hemingway, but it doesn't look great. It looks more bluey than greeny. Oh, all right, Looney, come on. Are we getting into the problem area here? There's a problem area. I'm just wondering if we're getting to it. Not sure. So we're getting in through another cut here. I think there's a little tiny bit of rock work in this one. Yeah, maybe not a tiny bit, maybe quite a bit. So again, we pre-recorded this, but since it's cloudy, we can just go with this. So here you can see it's quite substantial. That's got to be over 10 feet on this side, on kind of the west side. And then you can see on this side, the east side, again, you can see that very irregular nature of the rock work, right? Again, that was a result of the very primitive technology, the primitive techniques that they were using, and they didn't get those very symmetrical blasting lines, right? Today, you know, they drill the holes, and basically the modern explosive they use just shears the rock off right in line with the drill holes, right? What they were using back then was far more powerful and not necessarily ideally suited for that type of blasting work. Okay, so push past the cut here. Probably gonna stop up here momentarily. Check the camera. A little tiny bit of rock here. Okay. So let's, wait, is there a road up there? Maybe we'll stop. Yeah, there's a road. Let's stop at the road. Let's go through to the road. So again, in through the swamp here, you can see there's a big ridge right there. Again, one of the fascinating things that I find about, you know, exploring these railway lines is when they built them, and the process that went into locating and then constructing them. Right, you know, you think about the survey, right, and then, you know, getting the rough idea of where the line was going to go, and then, you know, figuring out exactly, you know, oh, we're gonna go through this ridge, we're gonna go around the next one, right, and we're gonna put a tunnel in here, and we're gonna completely go around this lake, but then we're gonna build a causeway through the next one, right? Like, it's kind of interesting to sort of see, you know, and it's almost like you want to put yourself in sort of the mind of the surveyors and the engineers when they were doing this all, right? And you know, how in some ways they saved themselves some work, and other times you're kind of like, really, they kind of went this way instead of going that way. Okay, so here we have another example of this, where you can see this road veers off, and then you can see the grade changes once again. So let's pause here for a moment and pick it up in a second. Okay, back in action here. So again, as I just mentioned a few moments ago, you could see that there's a logging road that veers off this way, and the nature of the grade changes, it looks even less well traveled, right? So we went through a road, it was, you know, less well traveled than that part of the grade to the east of that, and now all of a sudden we get into another stretch here where it looks like it's even less well traveled. You can see there's a telegraph pole here. I think we might be coming up to one of the more interesting sections here in this area. Yep, it's coming up. So I think we're going through a little cut here momentarily. How you doing back there, Lynn? sure it's all fine since I'm doing all the work here. So we're in through this cut. You can see some of the vestiges of the rain that came down the other day. So some of the puddles, these would have been dry, like before Thursday, bone dry. So you can see it's a pretty substantial cut, particularly here on the almost west side. We're 317, 318 degrees. Gonna turn a little bit here again. You can see all the jack pines that are growing up, so kind of, again, very sandy area. Okay, so we have, here's my mark, we have yet another logging spur. So it's somewhere in this area here up to there. You could see that there's a road that used to veer off here, and there's a kind of a bumped out area here. It's almost like we were going through that cut, and the cut kind of curves out. So I don't know if the spur was parallel to the grade or if it kind of veered off a little bit. So let's take a look at what is here. Grab my notes. So, yeah, this is the Freeburg. Okay, so we're located at milepost 113.5 on the original line. So this is known as Freeburg's Spur. It was here from 1918 to 1919. Again, it could have been here longer than 1919, but again, I have the January 1919 timetable. It's on there, but I don't, on the October 1919, the 1920, the 1921 timetable, there's no spurs that are shown on there. So it could have been there, it could have been here longer. I don't know, but for sure it was here 1918, 1919. Again, 6-car spur connected at the east end. So again, could have come here, could have curved a little bit in that way. So what I'll do is show you the timetable. Okay, andiamo. Show off a little bit of my Italian. I don't know if I would consider myself to be fluent. I can get myself around. My parents were both immigrants off the boat, and they did speak Italian at home, dialect Italian. So my parents are from northern Italy, from Veneto. So my parents' town is about 45 minutes north of Venice. You can see another telegraph pole there. So it's a limitation. I can't really speak Italian. I speak dialect, and there are some discrepancies in the language, different words, and so when a couple of years ago we went back we went to Italy and, you know, visited with family and things like that. I can talk to people, I can have conversations, I can understand what they're saying. I really have to think hard. It was a little bit easier when I lived at home, right? Because you heard it more often. Now it's like both my mom and my dad have passed away, so it's going to get a little more challenging. So here you can see there's an area, you can see there's a huge blowdown. You can see the problem with this area, right, with the trees, where the roots are very shallow. So speaking of problems, so when I came through this area early in the summer, so early July, and noticed this issue, and then I was here 3 weeks ago, and because it was dry, it was a bit better. Because of the rain we got the other day, it has since gotten worse again. And what's interesting is the satellite imagery for this area is from the spring of 2024. this is not on here. You cannot see all of these puddles, and this is actually not a bad one. There's some worse ones up there. So all of this has happened within the last year, or just over a year, maybe year and a half, because again, this does not show up on the satellite imagery from the spring of 2024. So again, I was shocked when I came through here. Again, was kind of like this in the summer, was good 3 weeks ago, was much drier, but again, since we got the rain, has turned worse. So let's have fun with this. Hopefully we don't get stalled, because I came through here this morning and it wasn't terrible, but I wasn't towing the dog. So again, this is one of the issues that railway lines have to deal with. Obviously the beaver has done a job here and essentially flooded part of the grade. You can see there's telegraph poles beside here, and like I said, it's going to get worse. Again, it wasn't bad 3 weeks ago because it was drier, but that rain that we got, again, I don't know exactly how much came down around here, probably 25-30 millimeters, maybe a little bit more. It really kind of did a number on this. It was not wet like this, and you're going to see up ahead, it was wet, but not the flowing water that you're going to see. All right, this is where it's going to get interesting. So you can see that it's very, very wet here. Again, you can see some really mangled telegraph poles. We're trying to hug the sides here because the sides tend to be less wet, or less deep, less wet. Jeez. Again, it's like my brain isn't working today. So again, the water wasn't flowing through the grade 3 weeks ago like it is right now. It wasn't running down here. There was just big puddles. So this is where it's going to get a little dicey. So hopefully we don't get hung up, because I don't like wet feet. Oh, it's not bad. Again, what it does is it tells you how well built this grade was, that it could absorb this and, you know, not be sort of washed out. Oop, toe of my boot went in. Hopefully. They're supposed to be somewhat waterproof. Again, you can see more telegraph poles here. So we're out of the worst of it now. Let's pan back on the disaster. Hey, Looney. Hey. All right, so you can see this stretch is not particularly good. So again, it's one of the reasons why when I come to do the next section, I do want some company. You can see the telegraph pole there. Still got some insulators on it, but who's gonna wait out there to get them? So as I was saying, when I come to do the next section, I have to drive through all of this in the dark. So I do want some company just in case. And so again, you can see a little bit more intact telegraph poles. I think we got to be getting close to the end here, maybe 4 kilometers or so. What time is it? It's 11:51, so it's really 12:51 Eastern time. Okay, it's not bad. We'll go up to the tree line there and then we'll stop. Okay, let's hold up here for a second, and then we'll resume momentarily.